Okay, this is a video just to show some basic handling techniques of the ARCboat. So we have the ARCboat on the river there, and we have Matt on the remote controls here. So what we're going to do first is just show some basic acceleration. So Matt will push forwards on the left hand stick, throttle. Note that it doesn't spring back to zero. And then to stop, Matt will just bring it back to zero. You may have a bit of momentum, so you can always put a bit of reverse on just to slow you down a little bit more. There may be a little bit of lag time with that. And then Matt can go into reverse just by pulling on the stick backwards. Yet again, it won't respond. And then to go forwards again, he will just push forwards to correct that drift, and off he goes. So that's the left hand stick, throttle. The right hand stick is rudder. This will spring back to the centre, so to zero, but essentially you won't get any steerage from the rudders when there's no flow. So there has to be a bit of either water flow or boat momentum just to make it happen. So Matt will put a little bit of throttle on. In fact, if you spin round, Matt, and come back the other way, come back to the left, there we go. So Matt's got a bit of throttle on, and he's going to turn into the right there, full on rudder. Now he's going to the left and back to the right. So there we go. So he's able to, just with the rudder there, maintain that. And as I said, that will spring back to zero. So what I tend to do is I tend to have my thumb always on the rudder, and then I will tend to just set the throttle to what I like, but keep an eye on it and monitor it that way. The other thing we can do is differential control. So if you flick the lower button here, what we can do is mix in the rudder with differential throttle. So now when Matt, if you bring the boat a bit more up to us, Matt. So just bringing the boat a bit closer for you. Okay, so Matt, if you go with the rudders now, so he's not got any throttle on, but just with the rudder, he's able to basically turn pretty much in his own length, and the other way as well. This is good for manoeuvrability, but as you can see, it puts quite a bit of aeration into the water, so it might make your boat a bit noisier. So what I will tend to do is keep that switched off, so it's rudders only. So particularly for doing transects, it's much lower noise, both acoustically and electrically. So that's those controls. They're the basic controls really that are available on the remote control. We can still use differential throttle on its own by using the left stick, so the throttle stick. So if we just bring the boat up towards us, so it's just in view of the camera as well. So if Matt uses the left stick now, then that can use differential throttle on its own without mixing in the rudder. I never use that. It can be useful in some circumstances, but to be honest, I will tend to use rudder as well if I need to, really. That's the kind of key thing. So none other of these buttons, levers, etc., switches do anything on the boat supplied to you. Therefore, extra capacity. So for instance, if we wanted to operate a winch or we wanted to engage autopilot, we would program these switches and use them, but they're not required on yours. The only one which is required is this bottom one there, which is just to switch on the mixing of the differential throttle with the rudders. I tend to turn it off. I don't really think it's required. The only other thing probably of note, which is a bit more of an advanced feature, is you'll notice under the sticks on each side there is a small button. What that will do is that will adjust your trim. So essentially that is a preset of where your rudders are or where your throttle centre point is. I would always keep it neutral, and you will know that by if you have the boat going straight away from you and it veers off to the left or the right and you believe your rudder is straight, it's probably because the trim is incorrectly set. So if it's veering off to the right, you would bring back to the left a few points. If it's veering off to the left, you would just put the slider over a few points to the right, see what's occurring with the boat, see until it follows a straight path, so there's no flow kind of deflecting it, and then you know you've got the trim set perfectly. But to be honest, before each deployment you should probably check the rudders are 100% aligned, because they could get bashed during transit, etc., things like that. So that is just a short video to show some of the basic controls and remote control on the ARCboat. We will be doing a more professional video so that that can be released kind of online, but hopefully this should help out for now.